Today, with every class, if you and your partner go above and beyond as far as working together, when it's time to take the 10-question quiz, I will give you and your partner 1 additional point. So if you get them all right, it goes in as 11 out of 10. Okay? But that's going to be based on how well you and your partner work. So how another group's works will not impact your ability to get that extra credit. The next thing is, if you get a perfect on today, that means you get 11 out of 10 because you get the extra credit and you got them all right. I will go into yesterday's quiz and I will change it because everything we do today builds upon going back to last Thursday. So up to this point, when I've given you a unit circle and it's time for a quiz, I provide you with these values or the tangent value, or it was a complete unit circle. Today you will have a blank unit circle. It will be separate than what you have in front of you. You each will have your own, and you'll have the little privacy walls up. So we're going to get started. It is also timed. Are you ready? So here we go. We're going to start off easy. Are you ready? Let's go. Sine of 17 pi over 6. Sine of 17 pi over 6. So I'm going to walk through the first 3 problems, and then we're going to do some individual practice, or group practice, I should say. So whenever there is a 6 on the bottom, I know that I'm going in increments of 30 degrees, or 1 pi over 6. Make sure you're looking up here and you're paying attention. If I think you have music out, cell phone out, you and your partner do not get the opportunity for the extra credit. So it's a positive value. I'm starting here and I'm moving upward. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Keep going. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Here is 17 pi over 6. Now I'm asked to identify the sign. When we ask about a reference angle, that means what's the quickest way to get back to the horizontal axis? So would it be dropping down or would it be going reversing back? Obviously it would be dropping down. What is this measurement? Tell me in terms of degrees. What is this measurement? 30. That means we have a 30-degree reference angle. So I'm going to come off to the side and I want to name this. What is this? So I'm going to do that right now. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3. 1, 2, 3. Gotcha. Okay. So what is the sine at this value? Well, if it's a reference angle of 30, sine is the second number. I'm going to write 1/2. And about half the kids in my first hour that did not get a perfect, this is what they forgot to do. All-star trig class. This tells you at each quadrant what is positive. So I landed in quadrant number 2. Now in quadrant number 2, S is all-star. S stands for sign. Only the signs are positive. This is my final answer. Turn to your partner. You have 20 seconds to make sure both you and your partner understand. Go ahead. Both you and your partner understand. You're down to 10 seconds, making sure both you and your partner understand. Okay, here's our next one. Ready? Here we go. Cosine. Cosine of 13 pi over 3. Now here's the difficult part. When we do this, pay attention. When we do this, remember that in terms of radian measurements, we have a 6 in the bottom. So 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6. And we can reduce it. And when we do the 45-degree increments, it has a 4 in the bottom. This doesn't have a 6 or a 4. So what happened? It means I previously reduced this. So to turn this into a 6, what would I have to multiply by? What value? So as long as I multiply the top and the bottom by the same value, it doesn't change anything. This is the same thing as the cosine. 2 times 13 is 26. So with your partner, you have 30 seconds to locate where is 26 pi over 6. Ready, get set, and begin. When the music stops, I want you looking up above. When the music stops, look up above, please. Ten seconds left. Okay, you ready? So I'm going to cheat here. It now has the increment of 6 in the bottom. How many, when I do one revolution, how many sectors, it looks like a piece of pizza, how many equal sectors that are this size are there in one revolution? Anybody remember? 12. If you didn't know that, you'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 11, 12. Okay, 12. So one revolution is 12. I got to go all the way up to 26. Okay. 1 is 12. What's 12 and 12? 24, 25, 26. How many of you, by raise of hands, ended up right here? Now, there's nothing wrong with doing this. 1, 2, 3, 4 to 12, 13. Nothing wrong. As long as you end up here, that's all that matters. Now, we're asked to find the cosine. Cosine is the first number, CBS. Cosine is the first number. And so I come back here. If I'm going to count, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, okay? Cosine is the first number, so this is 1/2. And in quadrant 1, all things are positive. You have 10 seconds to check with your partner before it starts to get more difficult. Go, 10 seconds. All right. I'm going to press pause because I'm going to give you 2 minutes working with your partner to identify this. Do not have any notes out that have completed unit circles. 2 minutes, begin. Go. Before I do this, I want to tell you something. You all were asked to have not a cell phone. You were all asked to have a calculator. Can you pull that calculator out? I want to go over 3 different ways that you can identify shortcuts to finding the tangent at specific common values. Okay, are you ready? So the long way, there's nothing wrong with this, but if I wanted to find the tangent at any one of these points here, I would take the sine and divide it by the cosine. So I'd take 2 fractions, divide the 2 fractions, and I would simplify. There's nothing wrong with that. That will achieve the answer every single time. It's a sure bet, okay? Now there's another way. I'm going to write down the 3 values that we memorized for these 3. One of them is the square root of 3, one is the square root of 3 over 3, and the other one is a 1. Okay? I want you to take on your calculator and I want you to round to the nearest tenth. I want you to figure out the value for the square root of 3. Write it down. And I want you to figure out the value for the square root of 3 over 3. Please do that right now. So I have that the square root of 3 is about 1.7. You can see my calculator about 1.732. The square root of 3 divided by 3, you have to make sure to use that arrow to go and move out of the radical symbol, is about 0.57. And then obviously we know 1 is equivalent to 1. Now here's the thing, all eyes up here. These 3, if we always knew what these 3 were, it'd be really easy to figure out the tangent of other places. If you had to look at this angle, and this angle, and this angle, it would be obvious. What's the smallest of the angles? What degree? 30 degrees is smallest, right? Which one of these measurements is smallest? Which one of these measurements is smallest? Square root of radical 3 over 3, right? Radical 3 over 3. Now, the middle, which value is in the middle? 1. And which value, because we know 60 degrees is the largest, which one is the largest? Square root of 3. So that's another way to memorize it. The way I remember it is I just remember that the square root with additional number underneath is the one that gets me closest to the x-axis. However, you're going to remember it whether you take time to do the math and take sine divided by cosine or you have some way of remembering it, it will help. Let's get started for this problem. Where do I find negative 11 pi over 4? So remember, it's over 4. I'm going by 45s and I'm reversing the direction. Why am I reversing? Because it's negative. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, so it's like 3 pi over 8, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. How many of you landed right here? About half the class. Okay, great. So this is where I landed, and I need to know what is the tangent. So what I'm going to ask myself is it closer for me to go up to the axis by moving up to the left or reversing back to the right? Obviously, it's going to be up to the left. What is this degree right here to go up to the x-axis? What is that degree? That degree is 45 degrees. That degree is 45. That tells me the reference. Oh, that means that if it's 45 degrees, the tangent's going to be 1. Now, how do I know if it's a positive or negative 1? All-star trig class. It landed in quadrant 3. And in quadrant 3, the t's are positive. The tangents are positive. There's your final answer. Turn to your partner. I'm going to give you another 20 seconds to make sure you understand. Go ahead. Here's your next one. All right, let's see if you can do this in 30 seconds. Begin. 30 seconds. Okay, 6 on the bottom. I'm going to go increments of 30. 1 over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 6 pi over 6, or 7 pi over 6. It helps me to understand where we stand as an entire class. How many of you as an entire class are like, I know where to find this? Can I have a raise of hands? I know where to find this. So we are probably embarking on about 80 to 90%. It's okay if you're not there. Maybe you've missed class. Obviously, trigonometry sometimes is super confusing. So like no other math we've done. So this is where we land. Now here's the second part of this. Turn to your partner without me telling you, what is this reference angle? So you're going to tell me in degrees. What is this reference angle? You're going to tell me 30, 45, or 60, right? It's 30. So how does that help us? Well, I want to know the sign. So I come over to 30. The sign is the second number. It's 1/2. And now I go, okay, all-star trig class. I just landed in quadrant number 2. In quadrant number 2, the S's or the signs are positive. This is my final answer. One last one before we go on to the second of 3 parts of today. Here we go. Individually, without your partner's help, do this one for me, please. Ooh, tricky. On your own, I'm going to press pause on the video, and I'm going to... Am I going up first or am I going down first? And how do I know? Up. Why? Positive. Now, I'm going to be lazy. One time around with 6 on the bottom is how many? 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Right down here. Ooh, that's tricky. That's tricky. Think of this as a coordinates, north, south, east, west. At south, you don't move left or right. You drop down 1. So how do you find tangent? You take the sine and divide it by the cosine. Sine is -1. Cosine is 0. Is this answer 0? Is this answer is undefined? And how do you know? Turn back to your partner. Is this 0? Is it undefined? And how do you know? All right, so I'm looking at this and notice where's the 0? Is it on the top or is it on the bottom? So my thumb points where the 0 is. We're in trouble. Thumbs down. That means the answer here is undefined. Now, if the 0 was on top, like if it was over here at the tangent, thumb is up, means we are moving on right now to inverses. Inverses of sine, cosine, tangent. And we drew 3 circles on Friday. 3 circles on Monday. Don't look back in your notes. See if you can do without. The sine and the tangent have the same quadrants we shaded. The cosine was the 2 different. Second, please. So where do I start with this? Because this is confusing. If you believe you have an answer, I'm not going to ask you for the answer. Raise your hand. If you're like, I think I have it. I have 3 groups that think they have it. Okay, let's check. You ready? So the first thing I do is I go back only to these points. This is what I'm doing. Please listen up. I go back to these 3 points of 30, 45, and 60, and I just start 1, 2, 3. I'm not even going to do anymore because I know that cosine is the first value. So this is 1 over 2, this is square root of 2 over 2, this is square root of 3 over 2. I'm being lazy. So where is the cosine in negative 1/2? So if the cosine has a 1/2 in it, that means it would have to be a reference angle of 60. So it's going to be one of these 3 other points. So it would either be 60, 120, it would be 240, or 300. But it has a negative value. Cosines are like x's. So the negative cosines are here or here. How do I know if it's 120 or if it's 240? I go up here and I go, oh, that's right. Inverse cosines are only in quadrants 1 or 2. This is the answer. Whether you tell me 120, 120 degrees, whether you tell me 2 pi over 3, or 4 pi over 6, those are all correct answers. Please turn to your partner and make sure you both understand that's heavy stuff. Go. That's super heavy stuff. Ready, get set, and go. No cell phones out, no earbuds out. Go. I'm looking at who's working with their partner this time. Remember that extra credit. The sine, I forget about it being negative. Just sine is 1/2. Sine is the second number. CBS, cosine before sine. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm looking, when is the sine 1/2? The sine is 1/2 at 30 degrees or at the other 3 reference angles, 150, 210, and 330. Now notice the sine is a negative 1/2. Sines are like y values, so it's this one or this one. How do I know if it is 210 or is it 330? And you could tell me as in terms of the radian measurement. Well, notice that sine and tangent have to have answers in quadrants 1 and 4. That means this is the answer. Now, whether you tell me 330 or 11 pi over 6, those are both correct answers. I'm totally curious who was able to come up with that answer. Okay, let's look at this. So I'm only looking back here. I need your attention in 3, and 2, and 1. 30, 45, 60. Remember, this is radical 3 for tangent. This is 1 and radical 3 over 3. These are the tangents. So 45 degrees reference angles. Now, where are they positive 1? All star trig class, where it tells us where it's positive. This is a positive 1 tangents. These are negative 1. But how do I know which one it is? Is it 135 or is it 225? Remember that tangents, like sines, are going to provide us answers in quadrants 1 and in quadrants 4. So this is quadrant 4. This is my answer. You could tell me 315 or you could tell me 7 pi over 4. Hands up high if you had that correct. Okay, we are moving on to the third type of today's lesson. Please go to your calculator and do second plus 712. All right. So after you clear your calculator, we need to put it in degrees. Second plus 712. So yours is going to say RAM clear, but then we need to put it in degrees. How do we do that? Find the button that says mode. It's right next to the blue button. Find the button that says mode. Okay. Go down to degrees. A little bit quieter, Davian, back. Go down to degrees and press enter. All right. Ready? Please make a triangle like I have. Across from the angle that has the capital letters A, B, and C, you will see sides A, B, and C. So for an example, this is angle A. I don't know the angle measurement, but directly across from it will be side A. So that's why I have a little a. This is angle B. I don't know yet the measurement. I will soon. Across from it is side B, and likewise across from angle C is side C. How do we figure out the missing side? We're going to use the Pythagorean theorem that can always be used when you know 2 of the 3 sides of the right triangle. So it doesn't matter if 9 is the A or the B. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay. A squared plus 9 squared equals 13 squared. A squared plus 81 equals 169. Subtract 81. Please do me a favor. Take 1, bless you. Take 169, subtract 81. And we get 88. Now I need to make sure that I am able to reduce this if possible. So let's see, can we do that? I'm going to take 88 and I'm going to divide it by perfect squares. That doesn't work. I'm going to divide it by the perfect square of 8 squared. That doesn't work. 7 squared. Bless you. 6 squared. Doesn't work. 5 squared. That doesn't work. 4 squared. No. 3 squared. Oh, there it worked. I'm sorry, 88, not 81. Oh my goodness, and nobody stopped me. Let's try this again. Nobody stopped me. There's 9 squared. Here's 8 squared. I'm seeing, can I break this apart? Nobody stopped me. Here's 7 squared. 6 squared, and none of these are working. 5 squared. 4 squared. 3 squared. And 2 squared. Oh, there we go. 2 squared works. Those are perfect squares, 1, 4, 9, 16, and so on. So I need to break this apart into 4 times 22. Please do the same. Square root of 4 is 2. This is equivalent to the square root of 88. So up here, I'm going to write 2 square roots of 22. Then I'm going to come off to the side. I can get 3 points here. Okay, C is 13, B is 9, and A is 2 times the square root of 22. Now, I would like to say those are the easiest points you can get. We already know what C is. We already know what B is. And yet, people still continue to put them in the wrong places today. So make sure you're looking across from the angle to identify the length of the side. All right. Most people don't like to work with square roots on the calculator. So let's choose option B. Can everybody circle the B that's on your paper? I can use the sine. And a sine is just taking 2 sides of the right triangle. And with those 2 sides, we can identify what is this measurement. So sine of angle B is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. Angle B represents an angle measurement. We're going to say things like that's 23 degrees, that's 35.1 degrees. When we're trying to figure out the angle measurement, we use the inverse key. Now, where can you find that? Notice that directly above the sign, it says sine of -1. That inverse key is used, and notice it's blue, to figure out the angle measurement. So can everybody go second sine? And then in this case, it's 9 divided by 13 is the ratio for sine of angle B. Press enter, and guess what? Angle B is 43.8. So let's come up here and do 43.8. Now, I already know that angle C is 90 degrees. What do all the angles of a triangle have to add up to? 180. But hold on, there's even easier. If this is 90, then these two must always be 90. They're complementary because 90 and 90 is 180. So please take 90 and subtract it from this angle. And we can say angle A is 46.2 degrees. We're going to try one more before you take your quiz. Your quiz will not be with your partner. Here we go. Please draw this unless you learn best by watching, however you learn best. So I know this is 90 degrees. I'm going to tell you that this measurement, B, is going to be 5, and I'm going to tell you C is going to be 7. With the help of your partner, please find out what is the length of side C, which is the hypotenuse. You have 20 seconds to go. What is the length of side C, the hypotenuse? So I just proved that we can't break it apart, so I can just leave it as the square root of 74. Your quiz today will be able to be just left as well. It can't be broken down. So I've got all the sides. Opposite of A is side A. Opposite of B is side B. Opposite of C is side C. This represents 90 degrees. Okay, you ready? We can use any of these that we want. So, Yvette, do you want to work with A or B? You choose. There's no wrong answer. Okay, let's put down A. Yvette, do you want to do sine, cosine, or tangent? Which one do you feel like you know the best? There's no wrong answer. Sine. So sine of A. Sine means opposite. So from here, opposite is 7, and it's opposite over hypotenuse, which is square root of 74. So whenever we're trying to figure out the angle measurement, so we're going to get an answer like, again, 23 degrees, 55 degrees. We are going to do the inverse to figure out the angle measurement. So inverse sine, the ratio is 7 divided by the square root of 74, and then we're going to round to the nearest tenth. So 54.5, that is angle A, 54.5 degrees. Remember, these two angles are always complementary. That means they add up to 90. So we can subtract 90 from this amount, and this is 35.5 degrees.